Aloha! Welcome to the Friday Marketing Jam Session. I'm Tom Gaddis. My business partner, Nick Ponte, on the call as well. We are excited you are here. We have an amazing show today. We're going to be talking about the magic of outsorcery. I don't know if you saw the picture of me as a wizard. I don't know if you saw the picture of me as a wizard, but we're going to be talking about some of our outsourcing strategies. We'll take your questions about building a team. It is for us one of the critical skills, right? Obviously, you have revenue producing activities like prospecting and the clients, but if you really want to have a lifestyle type business, you have to develop the skill of being able to leverage others to do a lot of those processes. Because in today's digital age, there's just too much to do by yourself. You just can't do it by yourself. No one can do it by themselves. We can't even do it by ourselves. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to take your questions. We're going to do some shark shout outs. It's going to be a great show. So if you don't have a drink, I just poured myself a Diet Dr. Pepper. If you don't have one, go grab one. I'm going to cue up the intro. We'll see you back here in one momento.
It's now time, the moment you've been waiting for. Get ready for the fastest 60 minutes of marketing strategies and tactics to build your remote empire from anywhere in the world. After 167 agonizing hours, they've finally returned. From the sun-soaked Sin City and the sandy shores of Maui, Hawaii, now back for a brand new Aloha Marketing Jam Session. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks and Remote Millionaires, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Oh yeah, that crowd is fired up. I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to get this to gradually go down. Oh, there we go. All right, yeah, there we go. I don't know. It just does it pretty fast. I don't know. Anyway, welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Oh, thanks for... Oh, we got to turn that off. There we go. How's everybody doing? Nick, you're in Oahu, right?
Yeah, I'm here. I was going to go sit out on the balcony, do that whole thing, but it's like super crazy sunny out there. And yeah, it wouldn't have been very good. It wouldn't have been very good. I would probably gotten fried to death.
Yeah, I was looking to see, is the sun even out here? It's been kind of windy and overcast lately, but it was sunny today, so that's nice. Cool. So what are you doing in Oahu?
So a couple of things. Number one, my wife is a nurse practitioner, and she is the bigger hospital in Hawaii is here in Honolulu. So she has some classes that she's taking. And so I decided to tie in that trip for her with an excuse for me to come over here and hang out with some of the members of our agency team. So, we have an ad expert here. His name is Tim. Our salesperson is Megan Curry, our account coordinator. We actually have another account coordinator / ad expert that we are hiring, who's also here. So, yeah, it's cool, like with everything. And I made a post about this earlier. Just nice to kind of see everybody get face to face. And it's something that I've never really done with as many of the members of our team as we can. We've always worked remotely, and I've met everybody like by myself, one off, because I've been, a big, and this is our topic, right? Outsourcing, big fan of like really living that lifestyle business. But as we've grown and we get to this bigger behemoth of a business, I see that there is more value at some point in getting together. So last night we had a dinner with our families, and we got to meet up, and everybody's we got to meet each other's significant other, and it was cool. So we did that, and then tonight at sunset we're going to go on a little sailing trip down, watch the sunset in Waikiki.
Oh, that's fantastic.
A little team building, culture building exercise, which, normally you can't really do when everybody's around the world. But since we've had this emphasis of growing the team here, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, that's really, really good stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, I spent some time this week doing some networking as well. I went down to Affiliate Summit West, which was going on here in Vegas. One of the nice things about, and this is one of the reasons that I relocated to Vegas, was because just so many things that we didn't have access to being out in Hawaii. Like a lot of things come here, conventions, things like that. Right. So Affiliate Summit West is one. It's really interesting. I mean, it's a huge thing. They had it at the Caesars Forum, which is like the Caesars Convention Center. I would say there was probably, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 people, maybe more. Like it was like there was a lot of people there, and they had like different kind of like meetup events and different things like that. People also had like, they had an exhibition hall. So they had a lot of people with booths and things like that. And what was interesting to me was there were a lot of agencies there. So like the Hoth was there. There's a couple of other, a place called Link Graph. There were some digital, just straight digital marketing agencies. There was a place there. Somebody had a booth there that all they did was provide you with unblacklisted Facebook accounts, which I thought was funny. There's such a need for that agency exists. There was also like a lot of people that their agency creates content for, because, you know, at the Affiliate Summit West, there's a lot of influencers, people doing affiliates for brands and stuff like that. So a lot of talks on that kind of thing as well. There were also lots of things related to agency stuff. Like people had talks on SEO, on content creation, on how to do strategic partnerships, things like that. So it was a lot of fun. Got to connect with some people that I hadn't seen in a while. And they had on Tuesday night, was it Tuesday night? Yeah, Tuesday night, they had the affiliate ball with Method Man. So Method, yeah, the affiliate ball. It was at the nightclub inside the Palms Casino. So I told Miranda, I was like, we're going to go down. We actually went down to meet our friend Phil Smith. He's like, you should come down to the party. So I'm like, all right. So I agreed. I told Miranda, hey, we're going to a party. Then I get home and I look, the thing doesn't even start till 10 o'clock.
Nothing starts till 10 o'clock in Vegas.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, like I'm not 24 anymore. But anyway, we get ready. We head down there. We go in this nightclub. It's just jam packed, right? Like, and they had the
with
DJ
affiliates.
Yeah, with affiliates, with everybody in the space. And
wow.
Anyway, so we hung out with some people down there for a while. Left about, I don't know, like 12:15, something like that. Because I just can't take that anymore. But Miranda had a lot of fun. So.
Miranda had a lot of fun.
Yeah, she did.
Good. I'm glad you guys had a good time. Yeah, that's, it's interesting to see the path as we've grown, in the agency, in Offline Sharks and Remote Millionaires. I mean, it's important, I think. Yeah, I mean, I know, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and for a lot of people that are here today, surrounding yourself with like-minded people might start at the very basic level of just being in this Facebook group, being on this live with, right now, 56 other agency owners that are out there talking to businesses and doing fulfillment, and what we're talking about today, outsourcing. It really is like, it's one of the reasons Tom and I started working together in the agency to start with. Tom always says, like, he wanted to outsource fulfillment to me, and I wanted to outsource the client getting to him. Yeah. And so, that's where we started working together, right? We started outsourcing to each other pretty much. But even in that arrangement, we got to a point where we were both like, we need help. We can't do all this. We just can't do all this. And so who feels that way, by the way? Put a me in the chat if you feel that way. Like maybe you have so much going on, or maybe so much going on outside of your business, but you're trying to work on this business, and you might feel a little stretched, a little thin with what you can do. Maybe with the prospecting, maybe it's fulfillment. And maybe you could put that in the chat too. What is it? What is it that you need help with? Is it the fulfillment? Is it the project management? Is it the outreach, the prospecting, the sales? It'll be nice to see where people are at.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say that too, because like for a long time, for a long time, I lived in the fantasy of I don't like well this I'll tell you, this is a good example of it. So I bought this book the other day. This is not a business book. But this will just give you an idea of where I stood as an entrepreneur when I was first starting. It's a little embarrassing, but the title of this book resonates with me. It's Play Poker, Quit Work, and Sleep Till Noon. Like if you just substitute digital agency with poker, like if there were a thing that said start a digital agency, quit work, and sleep till noon, like I would have been in. I'm like, that's what I want, right? But the reality of building up a business is much different from that, you know? And in today's digital age, especially if you're going to do quality work and offer quality services and build a long-term business, there's lots of things that have to get done. You just don't have to be the person to do them, right? And that's where like now my thing is shifted. Like, look, I don't really, I'm not afraid to put in the work and put in the effort to build something like that up, right? And so now it's a little more strategic about thinking, well, how do we get to that point eventually? Like that's not going to happen overnight, but how do we get there eventually? So, and the outsourcing and the way that we've built up the systems and processes in the business and the various things we do there are a big part of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we're very qualified to talk about this topic, everybody. Like across the board and all of our companies and things we have, I mean, we probably have over 50 team members easily. And not only the team members, but the systems and the operations to make sure all of those team members know what to do and who to talk to and how everything works. It can be a lot. But the point I want to make there is that we didn't start there, and a lot of people who are just getting introduced to outsourcing. And like, Tom, did you see the comments there? We have a pretty good amount of people that are struggling with fulfillment and project management, which those are the easier things to outsource, in my opinion. Like, honestly, I think the more difficult thing to outsource is probably the sales, just because like it really comes down to making sure you found the right person that actually has the skills to produce, and really good salespeople, most of them, if they're good, they pretty much have a job at this point, So what happens is like you have to find someone in between looking for a job, or you have to find somebody and help them become a good salesperson, usually. And so for all of you that are struggling with the fulfillment, you should probably watch the webinar we did recently. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But that is pretty much, fulfillment is arguably the easier part of fulfillment and outsourcing. So what I wanted to say though is like people that are just getting introduced to outsourcing, your first hire might be somebody might be a different hire than you really think. You might want to start with like a virtual assistant, somebody that can help you with the day-to-day, maybe somebody that can help you start to answer some emails, or somebody that can help send the reporting to your clients. And I mean, that was my experience, right? Like my first person that I hired was a web designer, and they were helping me build the websites that I was building. And then my next person was a virtual assistant who could help me with some of the little, smaller tasks that I needed to do, like, responding to clients and getting access and getting information like that. And, that will help you to just gain a little traction, like understand how it works to work with somebody remotely, how to have conversations, how to give them projects, how to see them through, how to make sure that they're doing it right, how to pay them, all these little things that an experienced person probably overlooks. Were all questions in the beginning. What was the first role that you had outsourced for, Tom?
Well, I want to say one thing first before I tell you that about the sales part of it too. Like, because here's another thing where I think the typical thought process of someone trying to start an agency and the reality of what has to happen kind of clash. And that is when you talk about hiring somebody for sales, because the dream of not having to do sales yourself is very, very appealing, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll just get somebody to do the sales and then I don't have to worry about it. The thing though is like, not only the things that Nick mentioned about great salespeople having a job, but really great salespeople expect you to have your shit together. So like if you don't have, like if you are not dialed in your processes and what you're fulfilling and your services and the quality of work you do, and a really great salesperson isn't going to be able to do much for you, right? Like that stuff has to be dialed in as well. So that's why a lot of times we recommend starting with the fulfillment side and hanging on to sales and marketing yourself so that you can build out those processes, because then a lot of things happen. One, you refine your sales and your client getting process, so it's much easier to train somebody when you bring them in for sales. And number two, your fulfillment and all that stuff gets worked out. So when somebody does come in, you do have a professional organization and they are able to come in and really just like help you, skyrocket your sales and everything, which is what you've been experiencing, right, Nick? So yeah, for me, it was fulfillment as well. So of course I started my agency doing the direct mail postcards. So my first hires were a designer, right? And then finding somebody that does the printing. And then I handled the mailing and stuff myself. So those were I found that's the setup that worked best for me. I could go out and get the clients and close the deals. And then I just wanted to be able to hand off the work. And then I carried that over into my agency, because that was like the getting clients part. Like when you're really doing what we teach in Offline Sharks, which you'll hear us say this all the time, consistent prospecting. Like consistent prospecting means you're prospecting Monday through Friday, every single day. You're doing everything you can to build up a network and business contacts and work on your client. Like that's a lot. It's I would say it's pretty much impossible to do all that correctly and effectively and do all your outsourcing, which is why so many people have that up and down flow of their business, because they spend time getting a bunch of clients. Now they got a bunch of work to do. It's also why so many like website developers struggle, because they go out, they get clients, they get a deposit. Now they start doing the work, but the work is taking longer than they expected because they're trying to do it all themselves. They've got multiple projects going, and then they need cash flow because they can't get the money from this project until it's done, and they're struggling to get it done. So they go out and they get more clients, they get more deposits, and now it's like this vicious, never-ending cycle of they're overloaded, they got too much work, but they need, they need all of that stuff going. So, yeah, that was kind of long-winded. I don't know if I had a bigger point than that, but that's where I'm going to stop it.
No, that's good stuff. And I mean, I obviously agree. If you can work on growing your skill set for sales and then outsource the fulfillment in the beginning, I think it's the smarter way to go. Even if you're not a normal, like a natural salesperson, as long as you have a good product that you can talk about, it's gonna sell itself, right? As long as you can speak to some of the results you've gotten or some portfolio items that you can show people. You don't have to be, some crazy, have had some crazy sales coaching. You just can be like, look, this is what I have, this is what I've done in the past, and this is what I can do for you, and I can make you a great offer, and that's really all you have to do. Somebody said, and I think this is a great approach, and it's the one that I've always taken, because Jacqueline says that I've been trying to find a suitable project manager for over a year. I've tried 3 different people so far, and they have not worked out. And then Shar says, I think it's also easier to train a VA. Once they're good at one task, you can train them for other related things. Of course, pay them better and let them know they are part of a team. So something I want to mention on that is I want to share a little bit of the story on how I found my project manager, because she didn't come in as a project manager, and she's working with me for probably 4 years now, and she's been with me for a long time, and she's so helpful in everything that we do. And so, Jacqueline, what Shar said is like spot on. I at one point was doing SEO, and I needed help with the content writing for blog articles, and I made a job post looking for somebody that could write blog articles, and that's who I hired. I found Adriana. She knew how to write articles, and she had a little bit of information, skills on how to do SEO. And I was able to give her my SEO SOP, like the on-page optimization checklist, and ask her to, go ahead and write an article and optimize it following this checklist. And she asked questions, and I gave her more info on how to execute and do the little nuts and bolts of some of the line items that were in that checklist. And so I liked her. We had good communication, and she got through the test project, and she wrote articles for months. And eventually I got to a place where I was like, man, I need more help doing other things. I wonder if I can ask Adriana to start helping me respond to some of these emails on, that I'm getting from clients on their SEO campaign. Maybe she can start to send them their monthly reporting. So I asked her, we had a conversation, and, she was interested in that. And I offered to pay her a little bit more, based off of how many clients she was working on. I maybe gave her, $10 or $20 per report that she sent. So I didn't really pay any money out of pocket. I just paid her per, like, kind of like a refer or a commission off of whatever she worked on. So that way I managed the risk, right? I wasn't paying this huge sum of money out of pocket to have somebody help me. I just paid them based off of what I collected. And over time, she continued to do that. And the communication that we had back and forth about these accounts led her to gain more understanding and knowledge about what I was doing and how I respond to different things. And, now, I mean, when we bring on a new client, she brings them in for onboarding. She engages the outsourcing teams. She makes sure that quality control is going on. And, if you look at where we started, just with content writing, the whole journey was just because we found somebody that, we had good communication with, was, intelligent enough to learn some of these new things that aren't that difficult to learn. And then we took the risk on giving them more and asking them if they could do more and growing them with the business, So highly encourage you to look. If you're somebody that needs a project manager, a VA, somebody else to help you with something, who are you currently working with that you could ask to help you with a little bit more? They might be a web developer. They might be a graphic designer. Just, freelancers are always looking for work. And so you might have somebody you already know that could be a great candidate for who you're working with. And I would start there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I saw Jacqueline said that her VA doesn't have the best, her fulfillment's great, but her English isn't good enough to do the client side. So there's a couple of things on that, Jacqueline. So I'm just going to add a couple of things specific to this situation, and maybe it'll help somebody. So you mentioned you had 3 project managers that didn't work out. Doing a thorough evaluation of why they didn't work out and what went wrong, and looking at was it really understanding what was their part, what was your part, will help you when you go to look for the next person to address those things early on, right? So I always think when people don't work out, it's not, sometimes it's them, right? Sometimes it's them, but usually there's something on our side too. And sometimes it can be all the way back to the vetting process of where there were some red flags, but we just didn't realize it at the time. So looking and thinking okay, what was the interview process I went through with them? Was there anything there that was leading me to believe this had happened? And then how can I make sure that I address those issues when I talk to new people? I think that would be a good one. The other thing you may want to think about doing is well, what would it take for your current VA to improve her English skills? Is there a way you can help her level up? Is there something you could do for her and reward her in some way if she levels up her skills in that area? Right? We've done that with people as well, where, we felt like there are skills we wanted them to have. And so we've offered to help them level up with those skills. And in exchange, when they complete that process and they can do those skills, then they make a little more money and they're able to do different things in the company. So that can work as well.
Here's a wild one. You can have them take their responses and then put them in Chat GPT and ask them to rewrite it in proper English.
Or anything like Grammarly. You don't have to use Chat GPT. You could use Grammarly or any of those WordTune,
Mm-hmm.
any of those types of tools.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Chat GPT just graduated from some business class. Did you see that?
Yeah, the Harvard.
They
They
took
took the Harvard test.
Yeah.
Took a C+, got a C+ rating on the Harvard exam.
Yeah.
Law exam.
Nice.
Interesting. So should we talk about other people's money? I saw, we wrote a few emails about other people's money, or how do you want to go about that, sir?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of things. One, one of the big fears when you're talking about outsourcing and doing these types of things, right, is that I'm going to have to lay out a bunch of money. And what if I don't get any return on it, or I don't have any clients right now? Like, how can I leverage this? Right. So we developed
Who's scared? Who's scared of outsourcing because of that?
Who's scared of that? It was the Wharton Business School. It was the Wharton Business
School. Oh, thanks, Dorn.
Yeah. Dorn's our live fact checker. That's good.
Instead of young Jamie, it's young Dorn. Young Dorn, pull that up on Google for us. Can you do that?
So a lot, like when we were starting to do this, obviously, like, Nick talked about mitigating the risk and different things like that. And so we're always looking for strategies and ways that we can do that ourselves as well. And when we were first starting, we had a strategy for, like starting to build out our outsourcing team without actually bringing them on the payroll. So we call it like the Rolodex approach. And I'm not going to go into a lot of the details of it because we talk about it. We talk about it in the training, and we'll put a link up here in a little while so you guys can go watch the training, The Magic of Outsorcery, but we talk about it a lot in there. But like this strategy allows you to, go out and start. Because one of the things that happens is sometimes you think like, well, look, because I don't want to shell the money out, I'll wait until I get a bunch of clients and then I'll start outsourcing. But the problem you run into there is you get really busy and now you have to find somebody and you're crunch for time because you're anxious to get them started. So you maybe rush to hire somebody. Then you don't have the proper ability to train them because you're swamped. So it's much better to have those people vetted way before you get to that point. The sooner the better if you can just have them on standby. So the process we do is this Rolodex kind of approach, and we talk about how to do that. We're always upfront and honest with people about what we're doing and how we're doing and all that stuff, but we have never run into any issues there. So that's the one thing about OPM. I did want to address something that I saw too. Like, I don't know who this is. This is a Facebook user, right? Mm-hmm. Trust factor outsourcing, been ripped off. I can tell you right now.
Very good. Good comment. It's a good comment. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. And it is a fear, right? What's the biggest way to overcome this? And usually, like, when this happens, your vetting process is not as thorough as it should be, right? So I don't think we have anyone on our team that's been with us less than a year, right, Nick? And we went through a few people in the beginning, but like, whenever we lost somebody, we always did exactly what I talked about with Jacqueline, which was we reviewed like, were there red flags? What led to this? How can we, like, what can we add to our vetting process that will keep this from happening again? So, I can tell you one big thing, that every time we've not done it, the person we've hired hasn't worked out. And every time we've done it, every person that has worked out and been with us for a long time, we've done this with. And that is get them on a live Skype call. At the time it was Skype because Zoom wasn't that big, but now it'd be Zoom. Get them on a live call and actually talk to them before hiring them. Like every time we've not done that, they haven't worked out.
Did you see the hiring SOP that I just revamped? Because like, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call, we're hiring another ad expert because we need to grow fulfillment. And I just went through the hiring SOP and I put it in the Remote Millionaire Slack. Did you see that? You probably didn't see that.
No, I didn't see it.
It was recent. Remote Millionaire members, there is a process like Tom is talking about, to really, when you hire, you want to start with a very broad net and get as many candidates as you can, get as many eyeballs on your job and opportunity that you have. but then you want to have a process to really boil it down and narrow it to, somebody who fits and checks all the boxes of who you were looking for. And whether that's, a web designer, a graphic designer, a salesperson, a project manager, they have to have certain things in order to work with you. Right. And I mean, this all came from Tom and I in our experience of being burned before. Like we have been burned many times, actually, and sometimes we've been burned by people that we thought we're not going to, that would never have happened with. And each time we improve the process, and, that's where we are now, So some of the things that we do are like, we give people test projects. Like before we hire them, we make sure that they can actually do the thing that we are trying to hire them for. So if it's sales calls, give us a couple of recordings. If it's building websites, show us a couple of websites that you can build or you have built in the past. Maybe we'll give them a project to like build us a landing page as a test. And, we're not only testing for skill level, but how well they communicate. Do they ask questions? These are all things that if you do early on in the process, you will find higher quality candidates that you can keep long term. And it's, when you hire traditionally, at least the way that I thought, it was hiring or outsourcing was the same as hiring in person. Like if I wanted to find a web developer to outsource work to, in my mind, I thought that I had to find somebody and be willing to pay them up front to build them a website or to build me a website. But that's not wrong, or that's not correct. Like you don't necessarily have to pay people up front. You don't have to necessarily pay people a salary. You can pay people per project. You can break the pricing up into different milestones of the project to manage your risk a little more. So rather than hiring somebody to build a $1,000 website, which it would cost you to build with them, and you marking it up to, whatever, $3,000, instead of giving them the $1,000 up front all at once, you break it up. I'll give you $250 when you show me the mock-up. Once we get to that stage, only then will we move forward. And if somebody doesn't produce the mock-up, well, then maybe you only lost $250. You probably didn't lose $250 because you probably wouldn't have even give somebody the opportunity to build you a mock-up unless you thought they were a good fit. But that way you manage the risk. So it's all about managing the risk and putting people through a process so that you can find the best candidates.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Sean said he's trying to outsource to his two sons who are great with cold calling, but he's having a hard time explaining the help services jackpot to them. Sean, a couple things you can do. One, let them log into the course and go through the first videos where we explain the strategy and all that stuff. That could really help. Second, maybe try to explain it in terms that aren't like with the website, right? Like if you knew somebody had a sports car and they didn't have a garage to keep all the elements off of it, but it's a really super nice, expensive car, right? Like you would just go and sell them a garage to go over their car. Like their business is kind of that way, right? They've got this great business. It's expensive. It needs to look good. And they don't have a website. Like now we're just going to sell them one that's pre-built. I don't know if that was any better. That even confused me the way I explained it, Nick.
No,
let's see. It says so many agencies on Facebook now for website design starting at 149. How do we compete? Well, one, I wouldn't be running ads on Facebook, right? Or I would start thinking about like, well, what target, that offer is not like, here's the thing when somebody else talks about people that are cutting prices. Let's talk about this for a second. First of all, like, what's the alternative? Because there was another question that somebody posted this morning about, they were talking about the recession. And do you think is it harder to get clients right now? Right. And this kind of falls into the same category as like, what if the competition is doing this and people are only charging $149 for a website? Well, the reality is it doesn't matter what those people do or what's going on in the economy, because you only have two options. One, continue to do what you're supposed to do, prospect and get clients, or quit. Like that's the other option, right? Like what is the option if you're not getting as many clients as you like? There's no other option, right? Like, and for us, quitting is not an option. So we just continue to prospect and do what we're doing, right? We may look at finding businesses that we know have more money. Like a cheap website is not appealing to everybody. I know we had an RM member who got a client, a prospect, to do a strategy call, and then they didn't get the deal because the client said, well, your price was so low, we didn't think it could be good. Like there are clients out there that's not like the cheapest price is not the issue. So how do we advertise to those people? How do we find those? Like you should be thinking about how you find those people, how you do those things, right? Also just doing good quality work, right? Just doing good quality work is going to get you referrals and other things like that. So like we don't really pay much attention to what other people are doing because for everybody who's selling a website for $149 a month, there's somebody else out there selling a website for $8,000 or $10,000 or $25,000.
That's me.
Right? So like, what the heck? What the heck?
That to me, that's just a mindset thing, right? Like
Yeah.
you see that somebody else is out there selling a $125 website, so you automatically think that you're not going to be able to compete. But I can tell you right now that I have tried to sell people cheap websites and they have turned me down because it's too cheap. I'm like, hey, why didn't you go with us? Well, we just thought that you probably wouldn't be able to provide a high enough quality product for $125, which makes total sense, right? Like, how good of a website can you really build for $125?
Yeah. Well,
not as good of one as you can build if somebody spends $8,000 with you. I promise you that. You're going to spend a lot more time. You're going to get way more into the detail. You're going to do a lot more of optimizing, make it a lot faster. You could probably build in some search engine optimization. There's a whole lot there. So it's really about, who do you want to sell to? I want to sell to the people that, have a good existing business. They have some cash flow. Those are the people ideally we would like to work with. But I will say that in the last couple of months, we have sold a few $150 per month websites. And that has only been because those are like businesses that couldn't afford the $8,000 and just needed something. They just needed a business card. And we have new salespeople that are working out new strategies to get our foot in the door. I won't go too far into detail there, but obviously, like when we sell these types of websites and we do these types of things, this is something we later, create a course out of in Offline Sharks, which is probably something that we will be talking about soon. But there is a time and a place to sell a cheaper website, and it's to solve a problem for a specific type of lead. And later on, maybe they will become a better lead. Maybe they're a brand new business. They don't have a lot of cash flow. They just need something. So you build them that type of cost-effective website. But later on, once their business is vetted, they have clients, they find product market fit, then you can upsell them to a more expensive website. But, ideally, I wouldn't let seeing low price stop you from getting out there and finding high quality prospects that have more of a budget.
Yeah, I agree. When I hear that kind of talk, I think this is someone who's given up before they ever started. Like they're just looking for a reason not to do the hard work. And their reason is, well, people are charging less money, so I'm just not going to do anything. That's why I say there's only two options. Like you either do it or you quit. Like there's no, it doesn't matter what else is going on out there. Now it's interesting because I don't know if this is the same person because it's a Facebook user, but he was talking about this they're talking about running into a handyman. He said he could get a site for $200. So there's a couple of things about this. One is a handyman site is actually one of the sites we have in the home services jackpot strategy where it's all pre-built and done and you can sell them for a low price just to get your foot in the door. Right. But that being aside, you could have been like, oh, I could do it for $200 and just use that pre-done site and you would have been profitable. But I might have handled it like this because sometimes people tell you that because they're trying to get a cheap price out of you, right? So why? Oh, whoa, that's like a little, it was a little matrix there. Sometimes people tell you that because they're trying to get a cheap price out of you. So I wouldn't just accept that answer. I'd be like, $200, huh? Well, man, let me know how that works out for you. Like almost like a condescending tone, right? And then you say, well, look, or you could say something like this. Well, let me ask you a question. What do they include for that $200? Do they include the content? Do they include the images? Do they include regular, you could build in some value there. I guarantee you there's a way you could compete on that, right? But foremost, if they only want to pay $200 for a site, maybe they're not a client you want. Like, that's the other thing. Like, you don't want to just take on every client. Like, maybe you're like, well, I mean, you're just not the person I'm looking for, you know? Like, hey, maybe you say something like this. Do you know anybody with a successful handyman business that's looking to look good online? Because I'd like to talk to them. Like, I'm not just looking for the cheapest person, right? Like, I'm not looking for somebody who's struggling and can only afford $200. Do you have any handyman buddies that are actually doing well and can afford an actual real quality website? Like, put me in touch with them. Like, that type of thing.
I do think there's value in, like, if you try to sell to somebody and they really don't have the budget, and rather than letting them walk away, if you can sell them a $127 per month website, like, that's a decent sale because lifetime value, right? Chances are they're not going to cancel that website for a long time. You're getting payments on something that is going to be relatively easy to set up, like an inexpensive website. Like, let's just be real. If somebody pays $115 a month for a website, you're probably just going to use some like template, right? You're not going to spend a lot of time working on that website. So lifetime value, that is a good offer. That's something we're testing. But this is something that I share with Remote Millionaire members whenever they're trying to sell something high priced and they get that comment. And it's a pretty funny meme. So let me pull this up here. The picture of the tattoo.
Oh,
you guys see this?
That's great. Yeah.
There's always someone willing to do it cheaper, right? And you can see that's clearly not the tattoo that this gentleman has on that paper. And you know what's funny is I've actually taken this image and sent it to people in response to saying, I can get a website done for $200 or whatever. Like, I will send that picture to them because, I mean, it's powerful, right? It's perspective. It's like $200 isn't always better. Cheaper isn't always better.
Yeah, hold on. I want to find the link here because I want to put the link to scroll under the video. Yeah, and you're right. Cheaper is not always better, and that may not be the person that you want to work with. I found a lot of times the people that I've given the best deals to have been the biggest pains in my rear end to work with. Like, the people that I've charged more money to have been like the best ones to work with. So, there's that. There was another comment here too that I wanted to talk about too, because it related to what we were doing. Somebody said, it's hard for me to find what to charge people. Have you guys made a list of pricing for your agency services, a detailed one? So we don't have that pricing publicly available. If you're an RM member, if you're a Remote Millionaires member, you can find it inside your stuff there. We have it there. But we do have a lot of training and stuff on how to handle your pricing, like how to figure out your pricing. So, and even if you knew the pricing that we charge at our agency, that may or may not be the right pricing model for you at this point in what you're trying to do. So pricing is very personal. And anyone that tries to give you a cookie cutter pricing approach is not being straight up with you, right? So you need to really spend some time thinking about your pricing and what you want. And so how do you do that? Well, you want to, look at, what you're doing here. You do want to look at what other people in your area is the key. What are other people in the market you deal in charging? That's a good starting point. Also working it backwards as to like, well, how much income do I want to generate? And what do I want out of this deal? And what does that work out to as a price per hour? Not necessarily that you're going to charge per hour, but if you at least know what your base hourly rate is to make the money that you want, then it helps you to better estimate projects, because you can say, okay, well, I think this project's going to take me, 8 hours. So if my base, hourly rate that I want to make for me is $200, then I need to charge $1,600 for this website. Because I know if I do that, then I'm going to hit the goals that I want. Then when I do that project, I want to go back and say, was my estimate accurate? Did it really take me 8 hours? Did it take me less? Did it take me more? Because if it took me more, I need to adjust my pricing because, right? That's what we're doing. So The other part of that equation is the outsourcing part. And if you go and watch the offlinesharks.com/your-remote-team, you can figure out your pricing based on your fulfillment people. So if you follow our Rolodex method, which we teach in the training, and you find a person that can do fulfillment, you're going to know everything that they offer. You're going to know the ins and outs of what it includes, and you're going to know how much they're going to charge you, which will allow you to set your pricing, right? So just going through the process, not actually hiring someone, but just going through the process of vetting someone to have on standby will actually give you the information and the intelligence that you need to effectively set your pricings. But we can't do that for you, right? You need to actually do that part. You have to go out and find somebody and vet them and know that they're good and find out what's in their package and what that includes and how much they're going to charge you. And now you know how you can price it. Plus, you know exactly what you're going to be selling. So it makes the whole selling part easier too. All right. I answered that one. We do have to do some shout outs here. So do you see any other questions you want to address real quick before we... You're muted.
I was saying that I think we've given away some pretty good value so far. Let's jump to the shout outs.
Somebody said, send me that picture. They're like your meme.
You can find it on Google.
You can find that one online. Yeah, you can find that one online.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's do some shark shout outs. All right, here we go. So every week we like to celebrate the wins, the people in our group that go out there, take action, and close some deals. This week, we've got some great shout outs. Number one, we've got Desiree. Desiree signed a client. She did brand strategy and funnel building on $1,000 a month for 12 months retainer for funnel maintenance and consulting. Michael Gardner sold his first website, 500 pounds, 630 US dollars. Excellent work. You never forget the first one, Michael. That's a good one. That's awesome. That's awesome. EG upsold a client for an additional $475 a month for 4 months. So EG was using the strategy, our home services jackpot strategy. She's been closing deals, seemed like right and left, and now she upsold somebody. Jacqueline Heath reported she lost a longtime client she picked up in her early days of marketing, but she secured a new client for weekly training on how to use social media for her hotel, 280 pounds. That's 340 US dollars. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
All right. Next shout out goes to Liz. Liz McKenna signed a new deal and paid. New deal signed and paid. Social media management for an e-com client. Right now, she's doing email marketing, meta ads, and now social media management for a combined monthly retainer of $4,650. That's a big win.
Wow.
That's a big win.
Congrats, Liz.
Daniel Daniels closed a deal to build a web shop and service website, 3,999 euros. That's $4,345. Daniel Daniels. Jill Ashton shared a couple of recent wins. A website design, $590. Well, I'll just do the US dollar prices. Website design, $745. Two-page website, $500. Home services website for scaffolding, $745, plus a $1,300 pound pending payment. Awesome work, Jill. Jill is in the UK.
Nice.
Over there. And then Oliver closed a deal in the publishing space, 5,500 euros. That's 5,980 US plus 25% on sale of books and all derivative products and deals. Her website, full launch campaign, and set up on an auto publishing platform for an author. That's excellent.
Wow.
Oh, gosh, I keep doing that. Let's see. Next, Scott, 4 11 by 14 and 1 9 by 12, just under 30K in profit and nearly 75K in sales for the entire year so far. Target is 5 mailings per quarter. So this is wow. Scott does the direct mailer, right? So this is just for 2023, what he's done so far. I mean, that's amazing. And then Taylor Stillman signed a new client, salon owner, startup, 8,500 for logo, branding, trifold site, Google business profile, and SEO. And then the AGM, I saw this. Did you see this image he posted on this? This was great. He started an agency growth machine networking group. in his area. So it's a networking group based around his AGM site, his influencer site. He said the group's off to a solid 2023 start with 3 new AGM signups at an event at $300 each. So when they get on the directory, he's having a little live meetup. So that's awesome. So congratulations. So for those of you keeping track at home, our combined total for the week of January 21st through 27th is $60,245. Grand total since the start of 2023, $128,650. Real deals closed by our members shared in the Facebook group. And to remind everyone, last year in 2022, you guys closed 1.6 million in local marketing deals. And so our goal this year is 3 million. So get out there, take some action. Let's crush it. I love the way Shashan did these. I give her a shout out. Look at these. Shout out to Shashan who does these graphics. I mean, I love everything about this. The white, I love the win. Awesome work, Shashan.
Yeah, they look really good. Really, really good.
Yeah. All right. And then one more thing we have to do before we head out today, and that is...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
First, before we announce the winners, Nick, if you like money and you want to make more of it, you should go check out our Outsorcery training, offlinesharks.com/your-remote-team. It's in the comments below here too. Check out the training. We talk about our process, the Rolodex process, all of that stuff, and how you can get started with outsourcing as quickly as possible. So you guys are going to love it. Go check that out. Nick, who's our winners?
Our winners today, those that went and commented and congratulated on our shout out post in the Facebook group are Kristen Bedard and Jacqueline Heath.
Woohoo! Congratulations, ladies. Excellent work.
Congrats.
Oh,
and,
you know what?
For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, if you come to our live session every Friday, same time, you know, we do shout outs every week for all of the members of our community, probably including you, that are having success, sharing their wins, sharing their and also, you know, struggles in the group. And we do shout outs, and anybody who congratulates makes a post in the comments congratulating those people. We pick 2 of them at random at the end of the live stream and send them some Cash App money. So good job, Kristen, Jacqueline. Thank you for participating with us. We'll send you some Cash App money.
Yeah, and we do have one more thing that we have to do before we go, and that is announce. We also like to reward people that are good stewards of our community, people that are in the Facebook group, helping people out, posting wins, just being an all-around fantastic member of that group. We give them one of these Offline Sharks treasure chests, which you get mailed directly to you. Lots of fabulous goodies inside there. And today, our member of the week is... Mr. Michael Gardner. Started out prospecting for home services jackpot site sales in December. Recently reported he sold his first website. Love the perseverance and the persistence and getting that first one under your belt, Michael. So congratulations. Awesome work. And you are our... And we'll be sending one of those shark treasure chests. Somebody from the team will reach out to get your address. So congratulations. Make sure you blow up Michael's feed. Blow up, put some comments about him in here so he gets in there.
Congrats, Michael.
Yeah, way to go. Awesome. All right, well, that was a great live show. Fantastic questions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, go check out the training, offlinesharks.com/your-remote-team. If you have questions, ask them in the Facebook group or reach out to our support desk, offlinesharks.com/support. Nick, have fun in Oahu. Have fun on the sailing trip. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. Yep. And we will see you here next Friday. Same shark time, same shark channel. Talk to you later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You've been watching the Aloha Marketing Jam Session, your weekly marketing live show, always bringing you the latest strategies and tactics to build your remote empire from anywhere in the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with the Remote Millionaires Podcast at remotemillionaires.com/podcast and Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube. We'll be back here next Friday for another live show. Until then, aloha.